Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, December 1st, 2025. You know, I don't have an advent calendar, but I have seen memes and Instagram pictures where there was a little Chihuahua dog and it said, according to the advent calendar, it's only 4 days till Christmas, and had a dog make a silly little smile. And, you know, that's a reality. I think if I had one of those, I would probably me or my wife would probably just eat the chocolate out of the thing and never make it to that 25th day. That said, I love chocolate and I'm a glutton. I like sugar, I like donuts, and it's not a good thing. But I do enjoy that sort of those sort of treats. And in fact, today, I allowed myself to have a Christmas tree from the Little Debbie snack cakes. You know, those are in the store now. So I had one of those for my dessert after lunch today. And by the way, my lunch was turkey rice soup. Yes, my wife makes this fantastic turkey rice soup from leftover Thanksgiving turkey. Can't beat it. I love it. Good stuff. So, as you know, I've been obviously there's videos out there that I've done on the laser welder. There's one video I did on SEMA, and I'm working on another video for SEMA. Now, what I'm trying to do is consolidate everything that I have. I probably have 10 or 15 videos, and I had filmed almost everything on my GoPro, but I had also filmed on my Insta360. And unfortunately, I had the settings wrong on the Insta360. Yay. So it ended up being that all of the footage that I have is basically like a fisheye, the whole thing. And I can't fix it. I can't undo it once it's locked in. So I'm like, yay. You know, you'd be walking around looking at cars through this big fisheye lens. I'm not going to post that. So all that is just set aside. I also had done some time-lapse segments, and they just look ridiculous because it's this round, imagery. So I'm not going to use those. Now, I do have imagery or videos from Bang & Headlights, the Kingpin Mustang, Fine Lines. There's several things that I've filmed that I think are worth seeing. So I am working on a consolidation of those videos. So I'm trying to get that out probably by the end of this week. And then I'm toying with how I want to do the fastback, the Cobra Jet video. So I have some neat footage of that being delivered, as it, like rolling it out of the garage and pulling it up front, getting it on the trailer. And I may intermix some of my older videos with that. But I also, as I mentioned on Patreon, I have a huge stash of time-lapse videos. And I kind of want to do like a start to finish time-lapse sequence of that whole car. And it may not have, I may have to do a voiceover on it because obviously time-lapse doesn't have good sound effects, or, it's all blocked out. But I may have to do a voiceover on that and maybe have a whole big video of the entire process. I think that might be kind of cool. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on. Also, I took some time, Thanksgiving rolled around. We enjoyed our family time and all that. But I realized that I'm getting ready to do more work on the front suspension of the 68 Fastback, known as Fangle. So right now, when I was shuffling everything around to get the Cobra Jet out, I had to move multiple things because the Cobra Jet was in the paint booth, my Mach 1 was on the lift, and I had to just rearrange everything. So while I was doing that, I realized I was tripping over a lot of stuff. And it's just the way it is. As you look behind me, you'll see there's all kinds of stuff back here. And this is somewhat cleaned up at this point. So like this is a little welding table I have. There's some junk on top of that. Over here, that's the pile of suspension parts for the Fastback. This is my body cart that I just got out because, as you saw in the thumbnail for this video, there is an image of a Falcon, 63 Falcon. And so I need to get that Falcon here from the other shop that is on the west side of Georgia, and it doesn't have any rear suspension under it, and I don't have anything to put under it at this point. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is getting it here on my buddy's trailer, getting it lifting, put it on the lift, and then set it on the body cart so I can move it around until I figure out what I'm going to do for the suspension. Now, as I'm rearranging and getting ready to do these sort of things, like I said, I got tired of tripping over stuff. And when you're working on something, sometimes you spend too much time looking for something, or you just stuff in your way. So I started purging, and I also rearranged the back half of the garage somewhat so that I could be more organized, be safer because I don't need to be tripping over stuff, but also more efficient. As I look at it, whenever I'm doing this sort of stuff, and as I'm charging, my rate for doing this work, if I'm not saying it matters, it's not going to make much difference, but a few minutes here and there where I'm tripping over something, trying to get around, that's not fair. And so I'd rather take some time right now and kind of organize this a bit more so that I'm really more efficient whenever I'm working on projects. So that's where we're at right now at the moment. There's still more to do. I've still got stuff to organize, but I feel much better already about this, even though the whole shop, everything is a mess right now. I mean, it's a big mess, but I need to do it and get it right so that I feel better about what I'm doing and safer, obviously. So, as we also, I noticed I said it's December 1st, and this would be the first live stream for December, and so I want to say I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving, and I also hope you're looking forward to a Merry Christmas. I'll just say that right up front. Now let's see who's here and who checked in early. And first one in, Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. He checked in at 5:32. So Rick is usually my coffee signal. So that's going to be my first shot of coffee to kick off. So I'm sure Rick is going to be either here or come back and watch. So Rick Gain has actually posted twice, and I think I'm going to read the second one. I don't know if there was something wrong with the first one. Oh yeah, okay. So Rick, Christmas is 25 days away, and I still don't know what happened to August. Everyone hit the like and thumbs up for Barry. Yes, by all means, hit that like and thumbs up. TJ, good evening, everyone from East Dublin, Georgia, where every day is a holiday and every meal is a feast. Barry, your shop is looking real good. Well, it's looking better. I mean, I've got to get it, cleaned up. I'm looking around, and there's stuff in here that I don't need, and I'll just show you. I'm just going to show you something real quick. So, sometimes you run into what you consider a bargain for no real reason. So if you look at what I have here, I have 3 boxes of Sunex stones. These are stones you would put to do a cylinder bore. Now, why do I have these? There's kits in here. You've got it's a 2-part kit. So you've got the stone, right? These are brand new, never used. I don't even know how to use it. I don't have anything for these to go in. Why do I have these? So, and not only why do I have one set, why do I have 3 sets of these covered in dust? I mean, look how deep this dust is on this thing. If anybody needs these, please contact me. I will make you a deal. These are like, I think $50 or more on like eBay. I looked them up. I don't need them. I want somebody to make use of them, though. I don't want them to go to waste. So I had that. I have, oh yeah, look here. Why do I need this? This is an oil pan gasket for a GM 4.3. Why? I don't have anything with a 4.3 in it. Where did this come from? I don't need it. Oh, and I got to show you this. Check this out. This is from my military days. You know what that is? That's a Holiday Inn towel. Don't know where that came from, but I have one. Anyway, like I said, you need those stones? Let me know. I'd be happy to work something out with you. Dave Tyson, good evening all from cold Minnesota. Yes. It was a decent day here today. I think the current temperature is like 46 or 48, so it's not bad at all. But welcome, Dave. Terry Keithley, good evening. Good snowy evening, everyone in Barrie. Please hit a thumbs up and like button for Barrie. Thank you kindly, Terry and Betty and the cats. Go Buckeyes. Yes, to all that. Thank you, Terry. Steve Reed. Hello, Barrie and everyone. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Right now we are getting sleet and snow here in Paducah, Kentucky. Everyone needs to give Barrie a thumbs up. By all means, and please keep all that type of weather up there. I don't need it anywhere near Georgia. Vincent Fitante, good evening all. After a long, exhausting search, I have finally found and purchased a Mustang convertible, 67 with 289, and recommendation for a transport company to deliver the vehicle. Well, that's kind of hard to answer. I don't know where you're getting it from or delivering it to. So I don't know. I don't really know of any companies across, and I don't use those services. So if anybody has anything to add to that for Vincent, let him know. Might help to know what state you're talking about, just to help get a reference in there. Travis, evening all. Let's do some spring, fall cleaning. Yes, definitely. Got to do. I mean, it's overdue. Annette is saying, Vincent, congratulations. Yes, glad you're here, Annette. And she also says, good evening, everyone. Rusty, hello all in Barrie. The laser welder video is cool. Everyone give a thumbs up. Thank you, Rusty. And I've got a good comment on that video. And I have to say, that's probably one of the better comments that I've gotten in a long time. As you all know, I don't play around. I really don't. I'm not an entertainer. I'm an influencer in a way, but I don't BS. I don't try to fool people or try to make them think that, hey, this is the end all be all. This is what you need, right? So I did that video, and there's some guy left a comment, and I did that video as a real review, like not somebody who's had it for 3-4 weeks and has been experimenting and testing and trying to show all the fancy stuff you can do with it. I like my perspective of, you know what, I'm going to take this out of the box and try to make it work. Now, I'll follow the directions, of course, but I want to show what it's like to be a real end user. You see these, I hate the advertising that is going on with this thing. You see some guy holding it like, oh, and he's got this, it's all lit up, and he looks like he's got one image where he's got the machine on his shoulder and he's got the laser gun out, and he's like, yeah, like this is so cool. I get it. He's a influencer, right? He's a salesman at that point, and I'm not. I don't want to mislead people and think, hey, you need to buy this $3,500 welder that may or may not satisfy what you need to have done. I wouldn't use it for anything heavy, It's a light duty, in my opinion, it's a light duty tool. It's not meant for anything industrial strength. If you're welding a frame together, you're not going to use that thing. It's just not worth it. It's also dangerous. I pointed out, this thing is a 700 watt laser. Like, somebody posted on my Facebook link, said, yeah, you can shoot bugs with it, like on the floor, like aim. Yeah, it's a laser. No. Like I said, I'm not going to pretend that I like something when I don't, or I'm not totally comfortable with it. So, thank you, Rusty. David, bowler hat guy. Good evening, Barrie. Hello, all. Hello, David. Glad you're here. Hey, Matco man. Hello, everyone. Tonight is the last night of eating Turkey Day leftovers. It's pretty close. I will say. After the turkey rice soup, because we my wife, we don't make dressing. Whatever dressing is, I don't like dressing as they call it. My wife makes stuffing. She actually makes the breaded stuffing, stuff in a turkey, and then she makes a side of stuffing balls. And it turns out we actually have some turkey left over and some stuffing balls. And so what I started doing is put the stuffing ball in the turkey rice soup to add some add some mass to it. But it's still really, really good, even doing it that way. But yeah, we're out of gravy, no mashed potatoes, no whatever, the sweet potato casserole, all that's gone. So making do with what we have. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. Will you be auctioning your unwanted garage items tonight? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I was looking at something earlier today, and I may open this up. I may open up something to my patrons, because I have some things that I've received that I don't see me using them. And we can talk about that later. But I have some items that I don't have a use for at this point. So, but yeah, I could probably auction off. I'll auction off the Sunex grinding stones, or how about this? Right here. How about this? This is a AC actuator door for a Ford Focus. Yeah, okay. I did have a Focus, and I bought that thinking the thing was busted, but it wasn't. So there it is. I have that. Jerry's Garage and Money Pit. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Jerry. Jiggy's checking in. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jiggy. Getting jiggy with it. And he's responding to Vincent and saying, where's it going to from? I'm up for a road trip. Yep, there you go. Annette says hello from Boston. Hello, Annette. Give you another bell. Gerhard. Good evening, Barry and everyone. It's been a while since I've been here. Well, I'm glad you're back. I still don't know why it's got the @ thing going on. I don't know what's changed. I haven't changed anything. It's throwing me off because I like to see the names. But Gerhard, glad you're here. Annette, your wife is a good cook. Amen to that. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I'm looking forward to Christmas because what do we have? Christmas lasagna. Best lasagna you could ever have. Trust me. I mean it. It's really good. It's actually my mom's recipe, and my wife makes it, and it's fantastic. Troy, good evening from coastal Georgia. Hope y'all had as good of a Thanksgiving as I did. Well, I hope so too. Glad you're here, Troy. Dave Conville, good evening all. Evening, Dave. Michael, I don't know how, Garamasu. How about that? Garasimu. That's my guess. Hello from Australia. Well, hello, Michael. Glad you're here. Nice to have somebody from the land down under. Annette, I don't know how you feel. I'm purging my basement. Ugh, how did I get it so cluttered? Yeah. And the thing, too, it's the same with my garage, the house. We've been in this house for 35 years. There's still lots of stuff in there that we can part ways with and not ever miss. But it's difficult. Michael Pagliarini, evening all. Shop cleaning time, that's something I need to do. Yes. It is worth it to do it. Get it done. Get it out of the way. Quit tripping over things. Rick, when you get done cleaning up your garage, you are more than welcome to attempt to clean mine. I'm busy that day. Sorry. I'm busy that day. Vincent says, Maine to New Hampshire, by the way, the Holiday Inn police are on to you. Yeah, I'll bet. Maine to New Hampshire. I've got Michael lives up that way. Michael, you might have some business hauling a car for Vincent. I do have a friend who lives in Massachusetts. I know that like all those states are just they're only like this far apart on the map, so it can't be that far, right? But yeah, Michael, I know Michael's up that way, and Tim, my buddy Tim, lives up RC Guy Garage. He's up in, like I said, Massachusetts. I'm sure there are others around that would be more than happy to help you with that. Artman, hello from Minnesota. I hit a dog toy with a snowblower last year, and it got very stuck in the auger. I cut it out with a sawzall the other day. Then it wouldn't start. 3 hour shoveling, sore today. That's a great. That sounds like a great start to a Christmas story. You know, I hit a dog, a dog toy. I'm sorry. That's funny. It is. Travis, do you know off the top of your head when the top of the outer rocker panel is level, are the front frame rails level as well? I'm going to say no. I don't believe they are. I believe I forget what the angle is. The front frame rails, I think they have to droop just a little bit. And I don't know what those numbers are. It's not much, but I actually think they're angled down slightly. And I did. It's hard to. I did a video or a couple videos where I used a piece of 1 inch square tubing on the bottom of a factory car. If you go back to the convertible, the Brooklyn Pony, I did a thing on the suspension there where I was putting things together, installing frame rails, and I did a measurement off the floor support with the frame rail in place, and I used that same technique when I was working on Fangled. Now, I know that number is not, it should not be 0. There's something, but I don't know what the number is. But it should be angled down slightly, is what my mind is telling me. Good question, by the way. Rusty's Restoration, Dr. Evil's Laser. Yeah. Annette, does anyone know of a good budget-friendly battery-powered snowblower? I don't even know if did they make a battery-powered? I've never seen one. Of course, I live in Georgia, so I don't know. We don't get commercials for anything like that. Dave, Holiday Inn called something about stealing towels. Yeah, they can have it back. The Get Games. I don't know what the name is because it's doing this goofy @ thing again. Auction off a day in my garage. I could use some help on my 70 restoration. That's not a bad idea. I've done a couple of things in the past year. I went down to Florida and helped a guy out with his 69 Mach 1. And earlier in the year, I went to North Georgia and helped a guy out with his 67 convertible. So that's not a bad idea. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from cold Oklahoma. Ooh, welcome, Bob. Mr. Mikey, greetings from the south end of Texas. Greetings, sir. Glad you're here. David, I remember you talking about the Christmas lasagna a while ago. Yes, it's also my birthday lasagna, so I get it twice a year. I still have my crooked finger, by the way. Middle finger doesn't go straight anymore. Not happy about that. I get it for my birthday, and we get it for Christmas. I'm telling you, it's hard. You can't beat that lasagna. Gerhard, some time ago you showed the seam sealer you use. Could you tell me which one you use? You know what? I'll be here. Hold on. Let me go grab those. It's worth showing you. And I keep these. I actually keep these empty tubes as references. I should just write it down somewhere. So the first one I like is this 3M Fast and Firm 08505. Okay. And I forget which one this one says. Like one is good for use on exterior auto body seams that have been properly prepared with primer or paint. Okay. So this one 08505 would go over like primer. Okay. So keep that in mind as you're looking at these things. This one is Gray Seam Sealer by SEM. I don't know if, oh, there's the number. It's up here in the corner. It's covered up by my fingerprints. Put it all over pushed it around there. So that number is 29372. 29372 is the SEM. Now this one says right on it, direct to metal. Okay. So the 3M goes on primer. The SEM goes straight to bare metal. And then it says it can be painted immediately. Now, this one, I mean, they both have their purposes, and 3M probably makes something like this. This just happens to be what I have. So I can't say one is necessarily better than the other as far as branding. But those are the two that I use typically. And I really like this one. This is a High Solids by Eastwood. This one flows really nice. It is, I don't know if there's an actual number on it. I don't see a number. But the Eastwood High Solids Seam Sealer. Those are the three that I prefer. This one says fast curing, non-sagging, paintable in 60 minutes, and it's permanently flexible. Withstands weathering, oxidation, salt exposure, gasoline, and most solvents. So these are all really good. Just keep that in mind when you're looking at these, what they're for and how they're used. So let's set those aside. Good question, by the way. Thank you for that. Richard, are there any updates on Slither since it went to Florida? No. I don't think anything's going to happen to Slither for, I'm going to guess, a month or two. Maybe longer. Maybe 3. Right now it's in hibernation. That's about as far as I go with what I know about it. Gig'em Garage, Kevin Barth. Good evening, Barry. Evening, Kevin. Glad you're here. Travis, I'd be interested in auctioning off Barry for a day, but the flight to Utah is probably not cheap. Well, that depends. I mean, I can fly on standby on Delta. I still have flight privileges as a retired employee. So, you never know. Annette, yes, they make cordless, battery-powered snowblowers. No gas needed. I've been doing my research. Wish me luck. Well, good luck with that. I don't have any input on that at all. I mean, it's just, if they ever sold a snowblower in Georgia, it would have to be like completely on the north side of Georgia. We're south of Atlanta. We rarely even get snow, thankfully. Yay! I don't need any snow. Michael Garrison says, try Geronimo. What is Geronimo? Is that a seam sealer? I don't know what that is. You have to give us a little more information. Robert, the Infernal Craftsman, evening all. Sorry I'm late. Been busy. Yes. Glad you're here, Robert. Yeah, I've been, I've been struggling with a bunch of things. I posted some pictures also on Facebook of my my little belt sander that I got for next to nothing really at our yard sale. And it's like a $500 belt sander, and it was missing the cover on the side. And so I just made one. I'm a sheet metal guy. So I made a template. I cut it, hammered it, and shaped it, and added on some pieces to give it some structure. And now it's all back together, and I don't have to worry about getting stuff. I had somebody comment that says, "Are you worried about getting hurting yourself?" And I'm like, "No, I'm worried about me hurting the machine." So I want to protect it. I want to protect the drive system. So I made that guard for it, and it looks great. It does. I should have taken a picture of it, but it does. It looks really good. So I'm really happy to have that done. There's things that just it's hard to store whenever you're going through items. Like I've got a set of wheel dollies, but they don't just you can't just sit them somewhere. I mean, you can stand them up on end. There, you can maybe hang them on a wall somewhere, or I don't know. They're cumbersome, but they're invaluable whenever you need to move a car around on, dollies. So right now I have them in a spot that I don't like, and I'm going to have to adjust that as I go. And I also put in another shelf rack and put a bunch of stuff on that to get it stuff out of the way. I said it before. I had a toolbox on this side of the shop that I used when I worked for Delta. I was sheet metal mechanic, so I had a toolbox with all kinds of stuff in it, and that thing just accumulated stuff because it was a flat surface. You know how it is. You got a flat surface, you just pile stuff up on it. Same way here. I've got all kinds of stuff piled up around me. Well, I got tired of it being covered up with all that stuff, and so moving the toolbox helped me get that area opened up, and then putting that wire shelf thing over there. Now I have dedicated layers of space that I can stack stuff up. It's so easy. It's so easy to just, let me throw this in the pile and just keep adding to it. Let's see. Gerhard says, "Thank you. You're welcome." And Rick Stevenson, "Snow is a 4-letter word. I've had to spend way too much time in the northern latitudes." It's funny as you say that. There's some pages that I follow that are like I grew up in Pennsylvania type of things, right? And they keep bringing up the blizzard of like '78, and I remember that specifically. I've talked about this before. That snowstorm was so overwhelming that I think this might be. I'm going to post this picture. I posted it before. I think this is a picture from '78 in the junkyard, basically behind the house. And that vehicle you see up there is the tank retriever my dad used to move cars. And I'm pretty sure this is that same time period when we had so much snow that it was just overwhelming. I mean, that's a plow that was on the front of the tank retriever that my dad used. But there was so much snow there that they actually had our little town I lived in. They asked my dad to break out the tank retriever so that he could open up roads. That's how much. I mean, they couldn't even get their trucks through. And so my dad put the plow on the front of the tank, or tank retriever, M4 high-speed tractor, if you really want to know, and was driving on the back roads, busting out all the snow drifts, so that the trucks could come through behind him and plow the roads off. It was a pretty dangerous time. Now, what's interesting about that is we have not had, in where I grew up in Pennsylvania, probably, I don't know, 20, 30 years, they haven't had a heavy, big snowfall. So '78 was like a real anomaly, but it was incredible how much snow had fallen during that time period. Artman, the biggest thing with anything lithium ion is charge them warm, the batteries can get cold. The tool machine can get cold. They can be used cold. Charging cold batteries kills them. Okay. That's some good information. Thank you for that. Rick Stevenson, there's a reason I live in Florida. Yeah, I'll bet. Michael, sorry I don't have a car trailer, but I have a friend that lives in Kingfield, Maine that has a transport business. So that might be an option, Vincent. I don't know. Artman, so a plug-in to charge snowblower sitting in a cold garage. Okay, so you got to be careful with that. That's what you're saying. I get it. Robert, my dollies get in the way too. They are sitting outside, and one has a broken caster now. I want a set of those ones you jack up with a foot pedal. Yeah, I would be happy to have a set of those as well. We had a set of those at the body shop, and I'm sure they went away. Somebody cashed in on those whenever the business closed up. Wasn't me, I could tell you that. But yeah, those are great to have as well. Richard, Ryobi makes a 40-volt snowblower that Home Depot carries. You need to have extra charged batteries ready to go. Yeah, I would, I mean, not questioning. I know from experience with stuff that I have that is battery operated. A snowblower, I feel like, I don't know, my mind goes back to that time period where we had heavy snows, where it was kind of a wet snow. Not a light, fluffy snow like you see when people ski, and it just kind of flies in the air. I picture anything that goes in a snowblower right now as being more dense, and I don't know how well a cordless one would operate. It's just the way my mind is processing it. Robert, I was in Dover during that blizzard. Ooh. Dover, Delaware, the city that means well. I don't know why I remember that. There was some sort of, I think it was George Carlin or somebody made a joke about Dover, and he said the city that means well. Annette is saying thank you to Richard, and Richard says, Annette, you're quite welcome. Rick Stevenson, I was in Maine during that big ice storm of January '97. Yeah. Well, I've talked about it before. I started working at Delta in '91, and I think it was '92. We had a big storm here in Georgia. I mean, a big storm is like 8-9 inches of snow, and that's a big storm in a lot of places. But in Atlanta, that's unheard of. And so I had a little 70 or it was a '91 Chevy short bed Silverado V6 5-speed, and the snow had just fallen, and I didn't even have a shovel. We just moved in this house, and I found a piece of like OSB or plywood, and I scraped snow out of the driveway and threw it in the back of my truck. I just piled it up in there. And I was working midnight shift at the time. And so I get in my truck and I drive. I drive into work. And I'm like, there's nobody on the road. There's nobody. There's cars all, there's cars in the ditch here and there. And I'm on summer tires. We don't have winter tires in Georgia. I drive all the way up to work. I get in the gate. I go, whatever, check in. And they looked at me like, what are you doing here? They actually asked me that. What are you doing here? I said, I'm here for work. What do you mean, what am I doing here? And they were like, well, how did you get here? And I said, I drove. You drove? I was like, yeah, just a little snow on the road. And they were like, nobody else came in, and nobody else is going to come in. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? And they were like, well, you can stay and work or you can go home. I said, okay. I think I stayed and put in my 8 hours, and then I drove home in the morning. Robert, when we have snow in Texas, it's a very wet and heavy snow. It's been more like moving mud than snow. Electric would just bog down in it. We don't have that light, fluffy stuff like up north. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I get that impression that a cordless snowblower, I'm just thinking of the torque involved if you have to move any kind of weight, any kind of wet, mass with it. It just doesn't seem like it's going to do very well. Okay, so you're saying I'm trying not to mispronounce here, but your last name sounds like Geronimo. So it's Geronimo? I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. So we'll just leave it at Geronimo. How about that? At school, it was my nickname. It's Greek origin. I love your post. Merry Christmas to all. Well, thank you, sir. I'm doing the best I can. It's really hard. Michael, I remember the blizzard of 78 very well. We had 20 inches and no power for a week. Yeah. Well, I know we had snow in some areas where we had drifts because, growing up in the country out in Pennsylvania, you would have sections where they cut through a hill to make the road. And so that would just blow over. And we had areas, it was 10, 15 feet deep in snow that had just blown over and blocked the entire road. And that's like I said, my dad was out there with the tank busting through these things to get access to people. And so it was quite the storm back then. And but now, I don't know, it hardly ever gets snowed there now. It seems odd. I mean, it seems like you're in that area. That's a part of the country that should get snow every year. But anymore, it's almost like they get a light dusting and that's about it. So kind of disappointing, I guess, for those that really enjoy the snowy weather. There was something else I was going to bring up. As I was saying, I'm going through all of these boxes and junk, and I'm finding stuff, and we're all hoarders at some level, right? You're like, you see something and this looks kind of cool. I could probably use this one day. I've gotten to the point now I'm just like, you know what? This is cool, but I'm not going to use it. So I got a buddy of mine. He hauls off scrap metal, and I normally haul off all my own scrap, but anymore, I hate the risk of it because if I go somewhere and if I punch the hole in my tire, my day is ruined, and I don't need the $20 or $30 that we've gotten from the pile of scrap. So I'm going to have my buddy come over, and I'm just going to give him, like, here, take this, take that, take this, get it out of here. I need to just get rid of the stuff. So, but as I was saying, we hang on to these things, and we're all guilty of it at some point. Whether it's that I've got a stockpile of wood underneath my bench here that I use that all the time. But I also have like a stash of newspapers. Why do I have newspapers underneath my bench? I mean, these are newspapers from like 1996. Why? What am I doing with them? I don't have any reason to have them, but yet they're there. Dave Tyson, 78, I plowed snow for 3 days. Yeah. And Gerhard, lots of snow up here in Ontario, Canada. We had 5 inches yesterday. Yeah, and it's, like I said, if we ever get snow here in Georgia, it's a rare occasion. The biggest fear we have with this area is it isn't so much snow, it's when we get ice storms. And because the weather will get warm, and it might rain or it might, transition, and then all of a sudden it's ice everywhere. And I know last year, pretty sure it was last year, we had a couple inches of snow, but then it warmed up enough that it didn't melt off. It warmed up enough that it refroze. And so like our street, we couldn't get out the street. It was a sheet of ice. And I was, at one point, I had heard a lot of commotion going on at the end of the street. And so I walked out there on the ice, being very careful, and to discover that I think 3 of my neighbors were out at the end of the street, like directing traffic. And one of them has a construction business, and he had a small little track hoe, and he had actually taken that thing out there and was pulling people out of the ditch because people were coming down. It's not a big, long, steep hill, But in the South, nobody knows how to drive on this stuff. And ice, you don't get that forgiveness of the snow where it may actually grip some. Once you get moving on ice, you're pretty much on for just going for a ride. So we had cars piled up in the ditch, and then nobody was directing traffic. And so I ended up spending a couple hours slowing people down so that they wouldn't plow into the other cars or hit the guy with the little track hoe or, neighbors. It's like, people, it's not worth it. Stay at home, whatever. But some people just, I can do this. I've seen it on TV. I know how to do this. No, not good. Mr. Cyrano, I remember 1978. That was the best year to build snow forts. That's accurate. And welcome. Good. I haven't seen you in a while. You're right. We built some tunnels and all kinds of cool stuff in that snow. Robert, been finding the same stuff in my shop and stuff with my parents that I haven't seen in several decades. I forgot I had. Well, that's kind of what I'm up with those stones. Why don't I have this? And I'll show you again because I want somebody to take these. Here's the part number. Anybody who runs a Cenex, these are stones for doing cylinders. I've got 3 sets of these. Why? I don't use them. Here's another one. I don't know who gave me this. I'm not angry. I don't know what year Galaxy this is off of. Anybody need this? I don't. It's in great shape. It might have been something I got. I might have picked it up. I don't know. I have this Galaxy 500 piece of trim. Why? I don't know. I've got a set of taillights lenses from a 65 Galaxy. And I think somebody gave them to me. I don't remember. But I have them. And they're just... they're just adding up. Dave Tyson, we had 8 inches last Tuesday. Yeah, thankfully we've only had a little bit of rain here in Georgia. We haven't had enough cold weather, and I really hope we don't have any more cold weather. I mean, we're gonna have cold, but not enough to get snow and ice. We don't want that. Robert, I would have kept that for wall art and never put it up anywhere. Yeah, that's probably what I did. If you look right there, okay, I put that up finally. Not I say finally, because I've talked about the Falcon project that's coming. This is the one hubcap that was in the parts for that Falcon. So it ended up in the round section underneath the Mustang GT hubcap and the inlet cone for, I forget which engine. March, yeah. Rick, 64 Galaxy. I thought you were the one that had given it to me. I really was. And I should put it up on the wall. It is cool. It's in good shape. And I was like, I'm sitting here collecting dust. And it was behind the paint shaker. And every time I would shake paint, it would just sit there and rattle around. But if anybody would need it, this would be a time. Like, if somebody needs a piece of trim for 64 Galaxy, I've got it right here. If not, it's going to go on the wall, and it will. I'll find a place for it. I will. Maybe right there, underneath Iron Man. It could fit right there. But it's the accumulation of things that I'm guilty of it. I know we're all guilty of it. As we're sitting here, and as I'm bringing this up, that I know, Rick, you had that probably in your possession for a while, and was like, you know what? I'm never going to hang it on a wall and pass it on. So now I have it, and I'm fine with that. Michael, Geronimo. Spot on. And you got it right. Okay. Yes, I do have the taillights. So if anybody needs some taillights. Art says, collect enough wall art, it becomes ceiling art. Well, you know, it's funny you mention that. Because my ceiling art, I don't know if I can get this to go up. And I don't know if I want to chance it. And my ceiling art is car parts. Like, there's, I know the light's not helping me. I've got, I got that crooked, whoops, wrong way. So I've got bumpers. I've got a set of wheelhouses for a 72 Chevy truck up here for a bed. I've got a set of wheelhouses. I've got new bumpers for a 69 Camaro that I had years ago that I don't have anymore. I've got bumpers for Mustangs. I have a front valance for a 69. I've got threshold pieces. I've got grills. I have a core support for a 64, 65, 6 Mustang. I've got front valance. I've got rear valances. I mean, it's endless. It is endless. The stuff that and it fits up there really nice. So yeah, I've got it all up there. Mr. Cyrano, if you were single, you can just put it in the living room. Yeah, if so. No, I wish I could, but not because of that. Yeah, in fact, let me just show you something. I have some die-cast stuff up here that I've talked about before. I have this, and I've shown this little 65 or 6, whatever it is, little Mustang convertible collecting dust, sitting up here. And I hate that these things collect dust. So it was, I don't know if this is past summer or the summer before. I had gone to a little, it was like a tractor show type of thing, like old trucks and tractors and stuff. And so I had this bag sitting here, and I was like, what's in that bag? And I pulled it out today, and I was looking at it. So what I ended up in this bag, I bought little Hot Wheels. So I have like a 65 or 6, whatever, fastback Mustang, Mr. Gasket, cool little car. And then I have another one that is just a plain Jane looking car, same type of thing. So I have a pair of those. Then I ended up with a Shelby convertible, right? And the thing is, I don't want these sitting out collecting dust. This one's really cool. This is a little 69. Yeah, 69 Mustang. I think it's, I can't read who drives it. Little writing on it. And then a little Studebaker pickup wrecker. So when you get this stuff, you're like, oh, and you don't have anywhere to put it. So what I did today, off of Amazon, I ordered a little display case that I can put these little cars in, and then find a place to put it. Because I want to have, I have a neighbor up the street. I was just there at his place last week, and he's a car guy, and he's got hundreds and hundreds of Hot Wheels in the packaging, all hanging in his garage. But he doesn't do what I do. Like, I'm creating grinding dust, and there's smoke, and there's debris and stuff like that. So it just collects on everything. But he has, his whole garage is lined with all this stuff. And I was like, I want to do that. I just don't know how. So I'm going to end up buying one of those little clear plastic cases and find a spot. I want to put these cars up, make a display somewhere. Robert says, or if you're going to be single again, put it in the living room. Yes. Annette, roughly how much do you think it would cost to turn a Midwestern Mustang Coupe into a safe, reliable daily highway driver? Um, that that's a hard question to answer. It really is, because first of all, let's just say you're saying a Midwestern Coupe. So are we saying you've got a line on a solid car to start with, like doesn't need any rust repairs or anything like that? It's just a basic solid car. For the most part, there's not much you need to do if other than get it running. Let's just say, so like without knowing the car or the scenario, let's assume you have a complete car that is solid. Now, what I would do normally is I would go through, starting with the under the suspension and the drivetrain. So I would look at the rear axle, differential, drain the fluids, reseal it, put all that stuff together, right? Check the differential, make sure it's all working correctly. Put new brakes on it, new brake lines, and so you'd have to. Obviously, I can't say what the cost is for those sort of things, but you have to look at what somebody might charge you by the hour to do that sort of work. So you get the rear end taken care of, maybe new shocks, check this, spring shackles, bushings, all that sort of thing, and then work your way forward. Go through the drive shaft, get new U-joints put in it, make sure it's tight. Now the transmission, the factory, let's say, assume it has a C4. It wouldn't hurt to go through it, at least change the fluid, put some gaskets in it, make sure it's tight. And then, the other things, like the engine, that's a variable that's wide open. So, like, you could either keep the stock engine and do some upgrading to it, put an electronic ignition or a Petronic system, put a fresh water pump on it, put a fresh alternator on it, stuff like that. But it's really hard to define, that answer. I look at it as if we had one like my 68 Mustang Jade. Now, granted, I went through that car nose to tail, painted it, did all that stuff to it. But the reality is, if it's a running, driving car, then it's just a matter of going through some of the basic systems to make sure they're functioning and make sure they're not going to fail. Like a new master cylinder or new brake wheel cylinders, if it has drums, or new calipers, those sorts of things, then you could just, you could drive it. But it's really hard to narrow that down and give you an easy answer on that sort of thing. Those are the things that I would look at, though, and consider the idea of maybe upgrading the transmission to an AOD, just to give it better highway drivability. But there's really not much more beyond that I can suggest at this point. But I don't know. That number could be anywhere in the grand scheme of things. It's a good question. I appreciate it. Michael Paglerini, my German Shepherd, thinks she's a lapdog. Oh. My wife would probably like that. Annette, should I start buying what I can now? Nothing major, things like door panels, consoles, gauges, etc. That's not a bad idea. And that your variables there, like you're saying, the initial question is turning Midwestern Coupe into a safe, reliable daily driver. That's one aspect of it. When you start talking about door panels and consoles, stuff like that, that's more about having the appearance upgrades or appearance being nice. So like I said, there's a lot of variables to that. And like Dave Tyson says right here, buy one that is done. Ideally, if you can do that, the challenge is having one that's done that is done correctly. We all know there are plenty of fraudsters out there who will take a car, band-aid it all together, make it look pretty, and send it down the road, and then you get something that is barely held together. And they'll take advantage of people left and right. And I agree with Davis. It is cheaper to buy one that is done as long as you know the heritage of it. You know how well it was done. And that's why for me, when I do stuff, I make videos. So everybody can see what I'm doing. I'm not trying to hide anything. I make it very realistic and show those things. But a lot of people out there, they won't rebuild a rusted out car. They'll fill it up with Bondo and sand it down and throw a paint job on it and say, "Yep, it's restored. Good luck." And I can't do that. That's not the way I operate. So it's really hard to give you a number or an avenue that makes that choice easy. So I wish I had an easier answer for you, but that's where I'm coming from. Okay, we are probably at the end of my session. It's been an hour. That went by pretty quick, actually. It's been fun talking about what's going on in the shop and all those sort of things. Like I said, I'm making a video for SEMA that'll be coming out. Hopefully that'll be ready by the end of this week. And I'm still cleaning and organizing and gutting this stuff out. And also, as you saw in the my thumbnail, that's a render of a Falcon. That's not my Falcon, but that's a render of a Falcon. And it probably won't be this week. I'm thinking maybe next week I'll make the trip and get that thing out of that guy's shop and get it here, and it'll end up in my house garage out of the way. But I need to get that taken care of as well. So that's going to be on my to-do list moving forward, aside from putting up Christmas lights and whatever else I'm told to do. So anyway, I'm glad you all were here tonight. We will be, I plan to be back next Monday night at 7. And everything, well, I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll see how things turn out. So that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.